So let's talk about something we all do. We celebrate things, we remember moments, we look back. But why? It's actually about so much more than just feeling nostalgic. It's really about how looking at our past gives us the fuel we need to face the future. Let's dive in.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Why do you have a camera roll with thousands of pictures? Why do you keep that old box of photos in a closet? What are we actually trying to capture, to hold on to, when we snap all these pictures?
And that's it, right? That's the core of it. Those moments, a regular Tuesday night dinner, a kid's soccer game, they seem so ordinary at the time. But you look back years later, and suddenly they're sacred. They've become these precious reminders of our journey.
Okay, so let's start right there. Because this thing we all do, using photos to document our lives, it's not just about what happened. It's about the story each picture tells, and how it becomes this powerful marker of our memory.
The pictures you put on the fridge or post online, they're not just decorations. They're like building a case, a testimony for your life. Every single frame is a little chapter in your story, a mini celebration that reminds you not just of where you've been, but of the goodness you've seen along the way.
So yeah, you could say photos are our modern way of putting a stake in the ground, of making a physical record of the moments that really matter. But this whole idea of creating tangible reminders, it is anything but new.
In fact, if you go back thousands of years long before iPhones and photo albums, the people of ancient Israel used something much heavier and way more permanent to mark a miracle. They used stones.
And that takes us to this incredible historical example, a story about using stones to literally build a defense against the human tendency to forget.
So the story is from the book of Joshua. Picture this. After 40 years of wandering in the desert, the Israelites finally get to the Promised Land. But there's a problem. The Jordan River is flooded and completely impassable. And then, boom, a miracle happens. The waters just part and they walk across on dry ground. It's amazing. But right after, God tells them, hey, don't just keep moving. Go back into the middle of the river, grab 12 massive stones and build a memorial. Why? So that years later, when their kids ask, hey Dad, what are these stones all about? They'd have a chance to tell the story. It was a tangible lesson, physically built into the landscape.
Now, the reason for this command is what's so fascinating. It taps into a deep truth about all of us. We're just forgetful people. It's so true, isn't it? You can have 100 things go right, but one setback, one bad day, can make you forget all the good that came before. These memorials, whether they're ancient stones or just photos on your phone, are built to fight that exact tendency.
So if we know this about ourselves, if we know we're prone to forgetting the good stuff, what do we actually do about it? Well, this is where we shift from just remembering things to actively making celebration a practice, an intentional habit. You could call it the discipline of praise.
And if you look at someone like King David in the Psalms, you see a practical roadmap. It breaks down into 3 really simple, doable steps. First, magnify. Just start your day by speaking truth out loud, even if you don't feel it. Second, proclaim. It's as simple as sending a text to a friend about something good that happened. And third, celebrate. Just put on a song that pulls your focus back to what matters. See? None of this is complicated, but doing it consistently is incredibly powerful.
And this is where it gets really transformative. When we choose to do these things, we're not just passively hoping to feel better. Gratitude becomes like an active weapon you can use against the temptation to grumble. And celebration, it's a force that literally pushes back against the cynicism that tries to creep into our lives every single day.
And here's the key takeaway, right? Celebration isn't something you do after you feel good. It's a decision, a discipline that actually creates the feeling. You don't wait to feel thankful to start giving thanks. You start practicing thankfulness, and that very act starts to rewire your brain, shifting your focus from what's wrong to what's right.
Okay, so what does this actually look like when life gets really, really hard? I want to share a powerful, modern story about a community that put these principles into practice right in the middle of an unimaginable mess. This is the story of the Calvary Chapel Parkland campus. Just look at this timeline. A small Bible study gets approved on a Monday. 2 days later, on February 14th, the horrific shooting happens at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and the entire community is just shattered. That brand new, tiny study instantly became a place for people to gather and pray. And from there, their journey was just one of incredible grit. They met online, in backyards, in a hotel, even in a movie theater, anywhere they could just to keep going.
And this one quote from them, it really just says it all.
It's this profound idea that even in the middle of the deepest grief, something new and beautiful was being planted. And the parallel here is just staggering and heartbreaking. The community was mourning the loss of 17 precious lives. And at that very first Bible study meeting held in the shadow of all that grief, exactly 17 people showed up. What started with shared tragedy became, over years of faithfulness, this powerful story of hope and healing for the entire community.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of this puzzle. The story of what happened in Parkland isn't just for them. It highlights why it's so critical that we remember, that we celebrate, and that we share these stories of overcoming. It's all about making the story last. See, the whole point of remembering isn't just for us. It's for the next generation. Those stones Joshua's people built, they weren't really for the people who walked across the river. They were for their kids and their kids' kids. In the same way, our stories, the stories of how we made it through our own hard times, they become an inheritance. They're tangible proof. They're our own stones of remembrance that we pass on to give hope to others.
It's this beautiful paradox, right? The stories we write down today, the testimonies we share, are meant to spark praise and worship tomorrow. The victories we choose to celebrate aren't just about preserving history. They are about prophesying hope into the hearts of people we may never even meet.
So we want to leave you with this to think about. If the story of your life was written down, all the ups, all the downs, everything you've walked through, would it be a story that leads someone else to hope? What stones are you building today for the generation that's coming tomorrow?